Did any of you attend the old church, the First Church building?
I visited there when Ted and I were dating, and I think it was the weekend that we got engaged, and I was in Newton and visited in the old church, and that was lovely church.
Did you say you attended the old church?
Well, yeah, I grew up in it actually used to be two buildings put together, and part had the cradle row, and then the classes was moved in, and that was. I think I was in the last class for being a member.
Okay, where was Cradle Row in the church?
It was clear to the east.
Front or back?
Yeah, clear in the east end of the add-on. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How about you? Do you?
My earliest memory, of course, I'm with Paul. I grew up was in the Cradle Row room, is what it was called. Was actually in one of the turret sections, which was a rounded area on the southeast corner of the main building. And what I remember is everything was white in there. The chairs, little tiny chairs, were all white. The walls were white. And that's my earliest memory, that the old church held lots of nooks and crannies to hide in as young kids. And we knew the church well as we would go and explore all the different areas of the church.
I talked to both of my sisters about this, and we all remember, what we remember is the stairs going downstairs, because we went down there to Sunday school. I seem to remember there was an outside stairs, but nobody else seems to remember that, so maybe I'm remembering wrong. But it was just the stairs going downstairs. And then my mom always tells the story about my younger sister. We always sat on the front row of the church, and the choir was up in the front. And so when my younger sister was crawling, I don't know how old she was just crawling, she got away from my mom during the service and crawled all up, clear up up the steps and into the choir loft. And
that's quite a way.
Yeah, she wanted to sing, I guess. But anyway, that's always been kind of a funny story that she used to tell about my younger sister. And of course, my dad is very even-tempered, and he was like, "He'll be okay. It'll be all right." And my mom was just about ready to go crazy because she was embarrassed that she had let her go. But anyway, it was kind of a funny story.
Well, you all indicated you went to that old church. Kay, what do you remember?
Oh, that church was, well, I thought it was beautiful, but maybe I'm wrong. The red brick, it was just all that brick and the arches at the front of the church, and it had like I don't know, getting into the church, we went up the stairs and this walkway to the door to go into the, I guess you call it vestibule, before you go into the
sanctuary.
Yeah, sanctuary. And I mean, it was really ornate, so much more ornate than the church now. I mean, there was a lot of different colors involved with the, there was like painting on the ceilings, I remember, and the stained glass. It wasn't just like the striped stained glass here. It was a picture, depicting a picture, in stained glass was really beautiful. Yeah.
So what do you remember?
Well, the church at 7th and Main was, I tell you, it was the sanctuary came from a church on West 6th in Newton in the early 1900s. But I think in 1901, they moved that church to 7th and Main, and that became the sanctuary. But as all of us agree that ever attended there, the small rooms, but it had lots of atmosphere.
And as a little girl, it seemed huge, didn't it?
Oh,
very
It was
mammoth.
immense. Yeah.
The church.
Well, for those of us that weren't around during those days, would you give us some context? What was going on in the world, Sue, in the 61 when you joined the church?
Well, I really don't remember anything specifically. Elvis was a thing, and I don't believe that. I'm not sure that the Beatles had come in yet, but we were relatively at peace. The Vietnam War hadn't picked up yet, and the Korean War was over. So, and as far as what was going on in Newton, I don't remember anything specifically.
So were you an Elvis fan?
No, I wasn't. I saw the first show that he was on, the Ed Sullivan Show.
Wow. Paul or Sandra, do you have any memories about what was going on in the world back then?
Well, we didn't get to watch it on color TV back then. And if we had a TV, it was black and white. And so we just had to go back by the years and we lived through it.
Yeah. How many channels on the TV?
Started out with one, but it had Oklahoma City,
Wow.
and then just gradually worked up from that. It wasn't like the TV we have now.
Yeah.
It was, we'd get a glimpse of the picture once in a while, and a bunch of snow.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you remember about what was going on in the world?
Well, when I was born, it was the World War II was still going on, and I cheated and I went online and looked to see what else was happening, and it noted that Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected to a record of 4 years, fourth year as president. And then when I joined the church, and I think that was 1956 thereabouts, and of course, like Sue was saying, Elvis had his first appearance and his first TV appearance, and then in the 60s, of course, the Vietnam War, 62, the Vietnam War started. So a lot of different things going on.
Bill, you have something.
Well, again, I came back to Newton after serving in the service, and the Presbyterian Church was a good part of my life at that time. But the Korean War had just ended, and things were kind of in an uproar. But the church at 7th and Main was well attended. I do remember there was a front door off of Main, but everybody used the side door on 7th Street, the whole
Yeah.
congregation, because they went right into the main part of the church.
What else was going on in Newton back then? Anything you remember?
Oh, I was 5 years old. I mean, I was baptized in that church, so I don't really know too much of what was going on in the world at that time.
Are you sure you weren't the one crawling up into the?
No, I wasn't. But I would have if I'd had the opportunity.
I think my mom used to talk about there was a grocery store on every corner, back then. And of course, nothing was open on Sunday
Yeah, oh yeah.
at all.
Well, Gerald's was right across 7th Street,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yes, it was right
Yeah.
across the street. But I'm kind of like her. I was just a little girl,
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
There was a vital retail community. You had
Yeah.
Montgomery Wards,
Yeah,
and as I said, all the grocery stores. And
Hogan's.
yeah.
but
It was-
Lots of
I would say, being in retail myself,
ones.
that was the main
Yeah,
thing.
sure. Phil, how long have you been in retail in Newton?
Well, I started at at my family business after graduation from Wichita State in 1958, and been there ever since. But,
Well, those are some of your memories of what was going on outside of church. I'm curious, what are some of your earliest or best memories about what happened in the church in your life?
Floyd Kaiser was the pastor then when I joined, and I remember being so impressed, and I still am impressed with the fact that during the time that he was here, there were, I believe, 5 young men who went into the seminary and went to seminary and became pastors. And one was Sandy's brother, and Don Schroeder, and Monty Fay, and Bill Hickerson, and who else? Sandy.
That was it during that time.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, I always thought that was really amazing. And then the next pastor after Floyd was that Louis Dale?
No,
No,
there were
there
a
was
couple
another.
others in between there.
Yeah. So anyway, that, and the congregation was a lot larger. I still have a picture of the 75th anniversary, I believe it was, and they took a picture of the whole congregation. The church was just packed with men. There were that many members.
Yeah. Any other memories from the church? Some of your most special memories?
Oh, there was a lot more people and a lot more of my neighbors, and I was going through the list this morning a little bit, and my goodness, there's hardly any of those names in our church anymore. And I knew about every one of them, and I missed that. I think, who's left?
Yes.
And some of them will move away, some of them will die, some of them will just quit going, and some of them will go to another congregation. And things I remember, like we had a lot more active young people between high school and adult. But it was kind of set up for when you graduate high school, then you go to class with your parents. Well, that just didn't really seem right. And so we had a real active group in between there, which kind of missed now.
Yeah.
And I was in the last communicants class at the old church, and the first wedding at our new church in the chapel.
Sandra, do you have any special memories from the church growing up?
Too many to recount, being this old. From the old church, the best memories are probably the youth group, because we had large youth groups, both junior high and senior high, and going on retreats, and sometimes we would get to go to conferences or seminars in Wichita. And I remember spending a week at College of Emporia, in Emporia, and going to Camp Winds in Ponca City. Oh, what fun that was! That was summer retreat, and then all of the activities, like they said, that there were so many members, and so the church was always full. Anything that went on in the church, it was always full of people. Parents belonging to mariners and cruisers, and having potluck dinners there, and then being in a church where my last name was Kaiser, and our minister was Reverend Floyd Kaiser. Everybody thought that we were related somehow, And so we always had to explain, no, we're not related at all. Just happened, and it was spelled the same too, so that was unusual. And then here in this church, I remember the first, I've been married in this church by different ministers, and my brother was ordained as a Presbyterian minister in this church. He gave the Sunday morning sermon, and then they had a reception for him after the ordination.
My memories are that, like most churches, it was well attended. The sanctuary was always full. And the downside that today is that a lot of churches don't have the young generations joining. But we certainly remember it as being a packed church every Sunday. And again, fellowship's a big thing.
Coming here, I thought it was quite fancy.
Oh,
Just fancy. It was just modern, very modern. And of course, we went to Sunday school always in the basement. And they had these little red chairs, green and all different colors, little chairs. And a number of years ago, they decided to get rid of those and get some others. And so my mom said, would you like to have some? And my girls were little at the time, so I still have some of those chairs.
oh, wow.
Yeah. And of course, we went to camp in the summer, some youth group.
Kay, do you have any early memories of this church?
Oh, well, it would have been 1964, so I was a teenager, and teenagers really are not interested in.
That's true.
So it was. But we went from no air conditioning on the hot summer days to beautiful, wonderful air conditioning. That's what I remember the most. Yeah.